All right, welcome back, everyone. I assume you can hear me. I have some audio problems, so if not, let me know. Uh, so we have a very exciting upcoming session. We have two presentations, but only one speaker. And I'm pretty sure you all know the speaker. So my introduction, it may not be particularly uh, well, novel. But just in case you don't know who Josefa is, first of all, you should probably have a look at our website for the society. But I can tell you that Josefa has a European PhD in psychology. She is in Spain the leading expert on boredom. Um, and she received in 2022 the Spanish National Research Award for her work. Um, within Spain, she is especially at the forefront and the first person to raise more awareness of the hypothesis that dysfunctional boredom is a threat for physical and mental well-being of older adults in nursing homes. And she is at the moment the lead of the pre-board project as PI at, and I'm going to mispronounce this because I always do, the Complutense University of Madrid, funded by the EU's Horizon 2020 program, which is very prestigious. In the past, she has been an assistant professor at Harvard, and she is the author of The Disease of Boredom by Princeton University Press, which has come out this year. She frequently speaks on this topic. She's a trainer of social and healthcare teams, and she talks to the media a lot. And last but not least, President Josefa is the president of our society, and she's also the one who really started this. So I think we're all very happy that you're here to treat us on a double talk. Double talk, that sounds bad. On two talks. The first one on diets that bore older adults, and then following that, you will present your book, Boredom Experience and Associated Behaviors. So thank you, Josefa. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Only with your help. I set up all this with your help always. So good morning, good afternoon, depending on the country you are. Many thanks to everyone attending the 6th edition of the Boredom Conference today. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Vinan, for the introduction. I want to take this opportunity to present some of the findings from the research project I've been leading during the past 3 years. You already mentioned it. But I have to make a warning from the very beginning. These are preliminary results that have not been published yet, not even analyzed in depth. Okay, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to share them with you today. So please be aware that this is just a presentation of research in progress with no final conclusions available at the moment. Having said that, I'm going to talk about food in Spanish nursing homes and its relationship with boredom in older adults. But to start with this topic, we need a bit of background. I guess you can see my presentation. It's everything is moving smoothly, I guess. So around 4 years ago, in 2021, I launched a research project I titled Pre-Board, Well-being and Prevention of Boredom in Spanish Nursing Homes. This project was funded by the European Union's Horizon 2020 Marie Sklodowska-Curie Action Program and was to be developed at the Complutense University of Madrid. My goal was to analyze boredom in nursing homes, not only the feeling itself, but the underlying causes that may contribute to its experience and affect well-being. The project stemmed from an earlier systematic literature review I conducted titled The Experience of Boredom in Older Adults, a systematic review, which was in fact presented during the 4th edition of the Boredom Conference. Time flies. which demonstrated that in Spain, no studies had yet explored the link between well-being and boredom among older adults in nursing homes. Again, my goal was to understand the experience of boredom in older adults living in Spanish nursing homes without cognitive impairment. This is important. This is an important point. The sample for this study was obtained through convenience sampling, given the significant challenges of accessing older adults living in residential care homes who didn't present cognitive decline, particularly during the pandemic, because all the project was set during the pandemic. So I created a short promotional video to introduce the research project and to explain the fieldwork I wanted to carry out, hoping nursing homes would open their doors to me. I want to share this video with you. This is only in Spanish, but I'm going to activate English captions for you to be able to understand, and I hope there is no problem with this.
El aburrimiento es un estado de displacer doloroso que experimentamos las personas cuando el entorno no nos estimula lo suficiente o cuando tenemos que realizar tareas o actividades que no son significativas y placenteras para nosotros. La falta de variedad y espontaneidad que rige el día a día de las personas mayores que viven en residencias, unida a la ausencia de personalización del ocio, hacen que se experimente un aburrimiento cronificado que a la larga merma la salud física y mental. Mientras en otras partes del mundo se han llevado a cabo estudios acerca del aburrimiento, en España no existe ni una sola iniciativa que se encargue de analizar esta problemática. De esta necesidad surge el proyecto Pre-Bored, que pretende dar visibilidad al fenómeno del aburrimiento, estudiarlo de primera mano y ofrecer respuestas personalizadas a cada centro. Este proyecto está financiado por el programa Horizonte 2020 de la Unión Europea y se desarrolla bajo un contrato Marie Curie. Desde Pre-Bored queremos dar voz a las personas mayores y a sus compañeros de cuidado para que puedan expresar su experiencia acerca del aburrimiento y así avanzar juntos en la búsqueda de nuevas respuestas. Animamos a los centros a participar en esta iniciativa pionera para liderar el cambio de cultura en el sector geroasistencial en España. Contamos con vuestra participación en la lucha contra el aburrimiento.
So, although, this was the video. Although this sampling method introduces limitations in terms of representativeness and generalizability, it allowed me to connect in some way. To connect, to collect rich first-hand data from vulnerable population that is often difficult to reach. A total of 405 residents across 20 care homes participated in the study. While this sample is not random, its size is considerable, I think so, and provides meaningful insights into the life experiences of institutionalized older adults, especially regarding their perceptions of boredom and everyday well-being. I spent 2 full years traveling across Spain, practically living in the nursing homes. I practically arrived at 8 a.m. and leave at 8 p.m., interviewing older adults as well as managers and first-line employees. Was absolutely crazy. The participating nursing homes themselves selected the residents to be interviewed, as they are the only ones with access to each individual's cognitive diagnosis. This way of proceeding ensured that only individuals without significant cognitive deterioration were included in the study. And another essential condition for participation was that residents voluntarily agreed to take part in the study. This ensured ethical compliance and the inclusion of only those who were willing and able to share their experiences. In my interviews, I used a mixed methods approach, combining the multidimensional state boredom scale with individual in-depth interviews. However, in practice, both parts of the interview often became intertwined. To facilitate response production among such elderly participants, I integrated the multidimensional state boredom scale items into a conversational format rather than administering them as a standard questionnaire. This approach made it easier for participants to engage and express themselves. And you can imagine, you can figure out, it's rare for older adults to respond with a number alone. 3, 2, 5. They almost always provide additional comments, explanations, or anecdotes. It's completely normal. As a result, the quantitative items naturally blended with qualitative context, enriching the data and offering deeper insight into their life experiences. I want to say something about the characteristics of the Spanish residential care system, because I can imagine that most of you have not know nothing about know anything about this. Spain's residential care system includes between 5,000 and 6,000 facilities, offering more or less 400,000 places for older adults, with an average of 74 beds per center. Around 75% of these facilities are privately owned, while only 14% are fully public and 12% are public owned but privately managed. Most residences are located in urban areas, often have shared rooms and include outdoor common spaces. The typical resident is a woman over the age of 80, with 70% of residents being female and more than 75% over 80 years old. Male residents present with high levels of functional dependence, and a significant proportion live with cognitive impairment. Admission is often driven by a combination of health decline, loss of autonomy, absence of informal caregivers, and limited access to in-home care alternatives. So, despite recent reforms aiming to promote person-centered care and smaller living units, a considerable portion of Spanish residences remain large-scale institutions, with nearly a quarter of them housing over 100 residents. These characteristics form the structural context in which questions of well-being, boredom, and nutrition among institutionalized older adults must be understood. And what about boredom? When talking of boredom, I follow my own definition of this state developed in a paper I presented during the 5th edition of the Boredom Conference. And the definition is: boredom is a state of malaise that we suffer from when the environment in which we find ourselves immersed, or the activity we try to engage in, doesn't stimulate us in line with our initial expectations, resulting in the painful experience of meaninglessness, or in other words, in the feeling of being wasting our time. So boredom, just to be clear, has nothing to do with doing nothing or doing too many things per se, but everything has to do with the fact of meaning, value, and sense, okay? And of course, this experience may be transient or chronic, a variable I also consider in my study, but I'm not going to delve into the definition of the differences today, okay? Okay, it's important to clarify that I didn't ask any direct question about food. None of my survey instruments or interview questions were explicitly about meals. However, participants repeatedly brought it up on their own. This happened especially when I used the multidimensional state boredom scale. For example, when I asked, do you feel bored at the nursing home, or do you feel that life here is repetitive? Many answer yes, especially the food. Yes, I get bored mostly with the food. Yes, the food is terrible. And this happened especially for items 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, and 14 of this scale, which are exactly what you can see in your screen. Number 5 says, everything seems to be irritating me right now. Number 7, everything seems repetitive and routine to me. Number 9, I seems to be forced to do things that have no value to me. Number 10 is simple, I feel bored. Number 12, I'm more moody than usual. And number 14, I feel agitated. So I began to quantify these unsolicited comments. And the result was that only 1% said that the best thing about the nursing home was the food. Almost 70% said the worst part was the food. And all that was unprompted, unprompted. So many residents describe the food as bad, repetitive, unappetizing, and scarce. There were also issues with the way the food was served, mandatory eating policies, lack of choice or personalization, short meal times, long fasting hours, for example, dinner at 6 p.m., breakfast at 10 a.m. the next day. So a lot of hours. Not enough fruit or beverage variety, or residents going to bed hungry. So I found some interesting statistical correlations. For example, here you can see that 44% of positive correlation was found between feeling irritated and perceiving the food as bad. It's logical. And also 52% correlation between persistent boredom and low food quality. You can see that here. So it's an evident correlation between the fact of feeling, of being experiencing boredom all the time in the nursing home, the poor food quality. This is important. By the way, although I will present the results of the project in the future because they are not ready yet, as I said, I can share with you that 52% of the interviewees reported feeling boredom constantly in the nursing home. Other curiosities of the multidimensional 6th Boredom scale I found was that 53, I'm sorry, I'm very bad today with numbers. 53% of people says that time is passing by slower than usual in the nursing home. 49 says that they are stuck in a situation that they feel is irrelevant. 75% says that everything seems repetitive and routine to them in the nursing home. So boredom is a real problem in nursing homes. This is an exploratory study, but I think we can get some conclusions. Other curiosities from the in-depth interviews in which I ask direct questions are the following. 60% say when I ask, for example, do you feel that care home offers enough activities and enough variety for you to find things to do? 60% says no. And when I ask, do you feel that the activities offered by the care home are meaningful to you, that they help you grow and use your time in a meaningful way? So 58% says no. And the worst thing in the nursing home, according to the interviews, was that life in the care for for 24% of the people was that life in the care home is boring. They feel constantly bored. This is the worst thing in the nursing home. So these are just some examples. What I want to share with you now are some testimonials. I selected 3 of them to be reproduced. They are again in Spanish, but you will see the English translation in your screens, don't worry. And later I will read some others for you to draw your own conclusions, okay? So this is the first one.
La comida no la mientes, porque la comida es, con perdón, por lo que me dices, es una mierda. Es lo que es, no es nada más. Pero bueno, eso lo ves. Pero es lo que me da mucha rabia, que con todo lo que pagamos, no tenemos que comer de esa manera. No es que lo diga yo sola, es que lo dice mucha gente. Lo que pasa es que luego hay gente que hacen cosas, preguntas de estas, y, no, es que comer es maravilla. Aparte que se repite muy mal. Me gusta cocinar y me gusta comer, lo que pasa es que ahora yo no como. Yo desde que estoy aquí, pues habré adelgazado como 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Sí, me suelo enfadar porque, mira, te lo digo de verdad. Mira, las personas no se lo comen ni los perros. Te lo digo en serio. Pero hija, que te pongan la comida como Dios manda. Un platito de sopa buena.
Sí.
Un guisado de patatas. Una lenteja. Un garbanzo con espinaca. Sí. Están buenísimos. Y es un plato de comida que te alza. No, hacen concreta, pues también que no se ponen un plato, porque no, se ponen 3 o 4,
Sí.
Y un poquito de ensalada o medio tomate. Hombre, que no puede ser, que no es lógico que pagamos mucho dinero, que son, que yo pago 1.200 euros, como a poco. El pan te lo ponen, te lo picas en la mesa.
Está
Es
bien.
una piedra, por el amor de Dios. Y tampoco digo que no coman cada día cordero ni caviar, pero lo menos un día, o algo al horno, y
Sí.
un poquito de vino. Jolines, un vaso de vino comiendo no te daña a nadie. Estamos en Semana Santa y un poquito de bacalao. Hombre, por Dios, las tortillas tan buenas que hacía yo de bacalao. Hacen macarrones, cariño. ¿Te has comido una vez unos macarrones? Sin nada, sin tomate, sin nada. Cocido y en el plato. Ahora apáñatela como quieras. Yo no lo quiero. Cuando ponen macarrones yo no los toco. Un poquito de tomate. No te digo un montón. Pero coño, que tenga otro gusto.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to the testimonials.
Las comidas es que
The last
hay
one.
noches que nos dan sopa y es agua. El pan tenemos que echarle en el caldo, agua en el caldo, en el agua. ¿Usted se cree que hay derecho que no den este pan y le hice así en el pan, en la mesa? Digo, que esto se lo echan a los gochos. Le digo esto y no lo comen porque hay que echarle en remojo. Digo, ¿usted se cree? Pero por favor que no lo mejoréis. Que no estamos gratis, que es que aquí nos cuesta mucho dinero de estar. A ver, las comidas que mejoren un poquito y que podamos comerlo. Te voy a decir una cosa, no soy de mucho comer, pero yo hay veces que paso hambre. Sí, yo hay muchas noches me voy con una naranja y un trozo de pan a la cama. Porque aquí está mi hermana.
La cena
No podemos comer.
no hemos podido comer.
Dice, solo pedimos mejoras de comidas. Es que si vieras la sopa que nos dan por la noche, buenas noches, es que es agua, pan mojado, pero por el amor de Dios, si esto es agua.
Esto es agua mojado, pan mojado en agua.
Pan mojado y yo creo que ni fríen el pan.
Well, some other testimonials concerning the issue of poor food quality. Somebody said, then the worst thing here, like in all nursing homes, is the food, because they pay very little to the catering company. They pay €5, if that, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I always say the fish is fish from the Dead Sea. The food is inedible, the worst, the absolute worst. Do you know what I end up eating? Bread with oil and salt. We are sick of eating chicken. Do you know what we always end up eating? A bowl of soup. The quality of the food is the worst thing here. Another one, the food is some of the worst I've ever seen. Not even in army barracks do they serve food like that. They serve you meat. You eat it and it feels like chewing gum. Bad, bad, bad. They give us food, not even dogs would eat it. The food is terrible, absolutely terrible. It couldn't be worse. Yes, it's the worst. We complain, but when the manager comes, for example, no one dares to speak up. Really bad. Yes, the food, it's the worst. Concerning cooking, this is another issue. I eat very little. It's the taste of the food here. I just can't eat it. It has a flavor that just no. They cook really badly. The food they give us, nothing but garbage. If you saw what they serve us, you'd be shocked. You wouldn't even touch it. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like this. The food is really bad. Vegetables without oil, poorly cooked. The soup, if you do this, is just water. How are we supposed to get any nourishment? But no, we can't speak up. Here, my dear, they serve you food so badly. The food is really bad. Everyone says the same thing, right? If you have seen the past few days, a rice dish that not even pigs would eat. For example, a soup or a broth or something that hasn't even been salted. There have been times when they have given us watery stuff. Water is just like water, only with some noodles, but terrible. Another one. Now, what bothers me most in the nursing home is the food. The food, darling. What kind of food do they serve? They don't know how to cook. It tastes like nothing. So concerning the problem of scarcity, it happened to me. They serve a croquette for dinner. Just one. I said, please, can I have one more croquette? And they said, oh, you don't want just one? I said, no, I don't ever want to be served just one again. Another testimony. I've felt hungry. I need more food. Honestly, I'm really hungry, truth be told. The meals are awful. Not only are they small, they are badly cooked. Sometimes they give us some of these onion rings, 3 onion rings, a croquette for dinner, a little bit of soup, 2 thin pieces of squid. So by 5 in the afternoon, you are starving. Please note that at least in Spain, lunch time is the moment in which we eat more. I mean, the size of the meal usually is bigger than during the dinner and of course during the breakfast. Okay. It's not the same, for example, in other countries in which I was living, for example, in Germany or in the United States, in which for lunch you have a sandwich or something like that. So it's not the same in Spain. So the food is quite average. I complain a lot. There are days when you have to insist. Hey, just a little bit more hey, please, give me a bit more. I insist. No, I'll go for another round later. No, not another round. Now, I've been left hungry. I've lost 6 or 7 kilos here. The meat is all fat. Read it. The garlic soup, don't even try it, okay? But what kind of junk is this? Eating Well, it's very important for older adults. I've lost 14 kilos. What I don't like is the cooking. One day they serve just a small piece of a Spanish omelette or just a 2-egg omelette. And the last one concerning scarcity. I need more food than what they give me here. At mealtime, it's very weak. The quality is bad. What they serve here isn't even third rate. And also with the food, like I said, if one day we feel like eating 2 pieces of fruit, why does it have to be just one? Just because you say so? Well, no. The food. It's been over 2 months of going hungry. I've never gone hungry. Never, never. Little and bad. How hungry I've been. How hungry I've been and how hungry. I remember that man. Okay, it's more or less the same. So I'm moving to the problem with the hours without eating. Someone who eats a lot, especially at night, they are left hungry because, yeah, they just don't give enough. It's a long stretch. If they serve dinner at 8:30 until the next day, maybe that's a lot of time and you haven't had anything. Then they give you dinner at 6:30. Just think, all the way until the next day. How do you think our stomachs feel? They are breaking the regulations. There should be no more than 8 hours between meals. Just think about what time you have dinner and what time you get breakfast. A lot of people don't get breakfast until 10 a.m. and they finish dinner at 7 p.m. How many hours is that? 15 hours. Concerning the service, the meals, they are really rushed. I can't eat like that. Sure, they say half an hour, meals in half an hour, but dinner's the same. What I dislike most right now is the meals, dinner especially. They sit up down, and we eat like we are being forced. There is this pressure, like they want us to finish quickly so they can rush off. The food is a bit so-so. And then there is the rush in the evening. You haven't even finished your glass of water, and they are already taking the tablecloth away. I say, hey, you are taking my glass with you. Health. I've lost 25 kilos. Yes, because I've been through a lot. The problem is I don't eat. The food doesn't encourage me to eat. Food gives me terrible diarrhea. I think it's because I eat forcefully. And there are many things I don't like, but I eat them because they insist so much that I say, I try, but I can't. But they don't give me anything like a supplement, for example. What bothers me exclusively is the food. It's very bad. I don't recommend eating here. They have put all of us on a diet. Boiled rice. Me, who is constipated, logically didn't eat all day yesterday, neither at night nor at midday. Simply, we want them to make us different kind of food, or at least the food they gave us should be well cooked. That's enough for us because we are awake. With the food, I can. Yes, I've lost a lot of weight. I've been to the hospital several times. The worst thing about being here is the food. Every night I feel sick with terrible heartburn. They served me some meals that half of them upset my stomach. There is a very big problem in Spain with this. The most important or the most interesting part for us, that of repetitiveness. The lunch and dinner are quite repetitive. It's all repetitive. I don't feel like eating. They are very boring. Maybe the meals could be a little more varied. It's fish and chicken all the time. I'm getting bored of it. They always give us bread, cheese, and ham. Why don't they ever make a mistake and give us serrano ham instead of ham? But they never make a mistake, no. Always bread, cheese, and ham, always the same. And then for dessert, yogurt, yogurt, and more yogurt. They should bring some fruit someday, a flan, by them. They could bring that. Where do I go now? Look at that, look at this. She was 103 years old. Where do I go now? Just wait to be fed. Well, if you can call this food. I came through that gate back in 2018, weighing 90 kilos. And now I'm down to about 65 kilos. The noodle soup, my friend, that's there every single day. And the last one, the food is terrible because it's not good. It's very repetitive. I'm sick of pureed food. The cooking is awful. Soups, I touch my ear and a noodle come out. I don't want so much soup. Yesterday, the food was a mix of everything because it's always the same old story. Meat or fish every day. The worst thing is the food. I think there is an important point also in that of forcing people to eat. They say, many times I say, I don't want the bread. No, you have to eat the bread too. I eat less now. I used to eat more before. The contract forces you to go into the dining room. It doesn't force you to eat. Although some caregivers, no, you have to eat. Just imagine if I were good at eating food. With 72 years old, eating food. I don't like the pasta, so I put it aside. They come and say, you can put it aside. But I say, why can't I eat what's there and just leave the pasta? I'm not going to eat anything else. And the caregiver says, you have to eat everything we put on your plate. Okay, I have to finish. So I wanted to introduce something concerning beverage. Why don't they at least give us a half glass of red wine with meals? Here, they give you water every day and you get sick of water. At least there are 3 or 4 of us who would be fine with something else. We could have something, but no. Instead, they just give you water. I like to have a beer, but I can't because they don't serve it here. So to conclude, I have very different ideas in my mind right now, but I'm gonna share just very briefly some of them. Although nutrition is not my specialty, this is obvious, I wanted to bring these findings to light just because, for example, in Madrid, in Spain, there are increasing efforts to monitor food in nursing homes, posting menus at entrances of the nursing homes, sharing meals, photos with the families, and so on. But the staff tells a very different story. For example, this was a caregiver. This is today's meal. She was showing a picture they usually send to the families on the mobile phone. That's a lie. Let's see. They put 3 pieces here, but they don't serve it like that. Residents came to me asking what's going on with the food. That they were only given 2 asparagus spears. 2 asparagus spears. What I want to say is everything is just for show, so there won't be complaints. No, sorry, let's be realistic. You can tell family members you serve 5 asparagus spears. That's not true. Residents told me they only got 2, and they waited for the food to be distributed to see who would get an extra spear. The paella, so much on the plate in the photograph. A lie. Lots of show, but it's not reality. And it annoys me because I have to do my job based on reality and do things properly. So the system is designed for appearances rather than their substance. The voices of residents suggest that much more needs to be done to address food quality, quantity, and emotional significance in elder care. The findings of this study highlight a critical yet often overlooked aspect of life in residential care facilities: the central role of food in shaping residents' daily experiences and emotional well-being. While the research didn't initially aim to explore food quality, residents' spontaneous and recurring references to the monotony, poor quality, and insufficient portions of meals reveal a strong link between dissatisfaction with food and the persistent feeling of boredom. For many residents, meals are not merely a nutritional necessity, but one of the few anticipated and emotionally significant moments of the day. And when food fails to meet their expectations in taste, in variety, or presentation, it reinforces a sense of routine, passivity, and neglect. The data suggests that food-related dissatisfaction is not only a matter of health and nutrition, but also of dignity, autonomy, agency, and quality of life. The high number of residents who associate their boredom with the poor quality of or repetitiveness of meals should alert policymakers, care providers, and researchers to reframe food as a key component in the broader context of psychosocial care. Addressing this issue doesn't necessarily require large budgets, but rather a cultural shift that recognizes the emotional and relational value of meals. In a context where meaningful stimuli are limited, improving the culinary experience may serve as a simple yet powerful strategy to reduce chronic boredom and enhance the everyday lives of older adults in residential care. So I hope to be ready to present more results from my research project soon, hopefully in the next edition of this conference. But I hope you found this presentation at least inspiring. And thank you very much. That's all for now.
That's really fascinating, and I think in the chat people are responding to those quotes. It's quite shocking. I have a question just before we go to questions, and organizationally. So it's now 4:45 in your time zone. That leaves, of course, a little time for your book presentation. So my question is, what would you prefer to keep? Maybe have one question and then move to the book presentation, or instead have some more questions on this and then have a little bit less time for the book presentation and subsequent questions.
We only need, I don't know how much time is remaining. We only need 15 minutes for the presentation.
Okay, that's fine. So
it's
so
not a presentation with a dialogue, but
okay.
Just the presentation.
Okay, then that's fine. Then we have plenty of space for questions. Are there any hands?
Another thing is if I'm able to understand your questions. If not, you can write them on the chat box, and I will be able to understand for sure. But just try if you have questions.
Yeah, so do raise your hands if you have a question. So I find this idea that you came back to at the end really fascinating. If I may ask a more question for more elaboration, this idea that it's not quite just about the food, or let's say the nutritional components of the meal, but there is a stronger cultural element to that. Mm-hmm. And you know, in your quotes, obviously, it's very much focused on the variety in the meal. But did you see also people commenting on the social element? Like maybe that's part of the on like the social elements of sharing a meal, having time, enjoying time together, and things like that, or is it really about the flavor?
Absolutely. For example, it's really disgusting for them to have to share the meals with people with cognitive impairment. Because remember that my research was conducted just with people without dementia, without living with dementia, and so on. So normally they are seated in the same tables, in shared tables of 4, 5 to 6 people. And they were really disappointed about that, about the fact of eating with people with cognitive decline. In general, they don't like eating with other people, because in the nursing home, there is not a culture in which people know each other. For example, I found people coming from the same town, a very small town, and they didn't even know about it. So they are sharing a lot of things. They have a lot of things in common, and people that have ways for occupying their time meaningfully in common, and they don't know. They don't know because the culture is not for promoting the relationship, the establishment of relationships between the residents. But so there is not a social encounter during meals in the nursing home. And usually it's a source of conflicts.
Yeah. Okay.
You have taken my pills, you put your hand in my plate, and things like that. Oh, this person is screaming all the time, or things like that. Or you smell bad all the time, the same.
Okay, interesting. So it sounds like the nursing home seems to be tailored more to sort of keeping people alive rather than people, letting people live.
This is the only thing that this is the most important thing for our nursing homes, unfortunately, today.
Yeah.
So they are doing a very good job in looking after the body.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the numbers are pretty good, but the diseases of the soul, of the spirit, are completely neglected.
So Marius makes an interesting observation. He says in the chat the same thing with Boredom with food and children, are also sometimes associated with a lack of agency and dependency, for example, at preschool. Do you see the same parallel there? Would you agree that it's kind of the same issue?
Well, there is a very big difference here because, children are children, but we are talking about people in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s, that people have lived a very long life, and they know very well what they want.
Yeah.
And you cannot, it's a very big mistake to compare them with children, I think. So don't be disappointed, Marius, just because, okay, I see your point, because why children have the right to choose the food they want to eat. So, but it's not the same after. It's not the same. So to a children, maybe you can say, no, you have to eat that because this is what I said, and I have the power, and I am the adult, so you have to do what I said. But you can tell that to a person in their 90s, because the answer is gonna be, what, are you kidding me? You don't decide on my life. Why I'm not able to take 2 pieces of fruit if I want? No, because of the sugar, you are diabetic. I don't mind. I have 98 years old. I'm gonna die. Let me alone.
That's clear. Thank you. So Sandy, you also wanted to ask a question.
Hello, Professor Velasco. Congratulations for your presentation. And here's my question. Would it make sense to speak about protective measures against boredom, such as increasing food quality and variation, so that you could not totally prevent, you cannot avoid boredom sometimes, but as a protective measure, you could protect people from feeling bored most often.
Yeah, they try to do it because when someone arrives at the nursing home, usually they have a very long interview in which they are asked about their preferences, at which time do you prefer to wake up, what kind of food do you like most. But after all, there is this doesn't apply in reality. I mean, there is no staff enough as to look after them properly. There is no money to improve the quality of life, of food, of life, of course, but of food. So the intention is really good to know your biography in order to provide a more comfortable environment for you in which boredom shouldn't arise. But in practice, there are no resources to put into practice the person-centered care. That's the problem. That's the problem. And most important, as I said during my presentation, the percentage of nursing homes that are public in Spain is very low, very low. It's 15%. So as a society, I think we need to invest more public money in this because all of us are going to live in a nursing home probably in the future. But the problem is overall concerning private nursing homes, because in order to prevent boredom, they know how to do that. They know perfectly how to do that. But in order to do so, they need to reduce the benefits. It's just that. If you need to hire more staff, if you need to, instead of spending €5 for the meals of the whole day, you have to spend 10. It's a very big difference at the end of the year for you as a business, as a company. So that's the problem, in fact.
So
right.
they have access to the studies, they have access to the knowledge, they know how to prevent it or how to protect people against boredom, but there is no availability of money.
There is no willingness. Is that the
Willingness.
correct word? Yeah, that's it. That's it. There is, but not at the cost of not earning as much money as they are earning right now. It's a terrible reality. After spending 2 years in the nursing homes, I felt so depression visited to me because it was like, oh my God, I have a lot of data. I have a lot of things to say to the public administrations, to the policymakers, because policymakers are the people who can force the private institutions to make things different. Because we have some kind of agreements everybody has to respect independently of if you are public or private. Okay, there are minimums. So I was worried about the reaction of policymakers, of the media. Until now, I'm receiving criticism, of course. Lots of people telling, oh, that is a lie, but it's the reality. And families, caregivers, associations, NGOs are supporting my narrative, my results. But I don't know how to explain. This is a reality that everybody wants to put under the bed. I figure out this expression. Everybody wants to hide this reality because it's terrifying.